Hello, this is Charles, and we're about to start Chapter 5 of Out of Time. Just a quick recap. In Chapter 4, Earl and Clyde met with Dr. Zielinski. They went over the evidence that the machines had been stolen and tested, and they tested a couple of them themselves and found out how to use them. And now they've formulated a plan to stop what the Powers brothers have in mind. So they're headed to Virginia, starting in Chapter 5, coming up. Chapter 5. Richard and Alan Powers hooked up the old RV at the Harbor View RV and Camping Resort near Colonial Beach, Virginia. They purchased the older RV and a used pickup in Harrison, Ohio the day before and drove the 9 hours to the campground. So, what's the plan? Alan asked. He was born at a plantation not far from here. It's a national park now. We're going to be tourists for a couple days. It says here, reading from a book he had recently purchased, that the house burned down in 1779. So the original house isn't at the park. We might need to scope the place out and see if there's any indication where the house sat then. Seems to me when we jump back, we'll find the house pretty easy. But you don't want to appear in the house, do you? Or in some slaves' quarters? Slaves? Yes, slaves. It was a big plantation. We have to assume they were slaves. They probably had some in the house as servants, too. We don't want them causing us any trouble. Okay, so we scoped the place out for a couple days, and then what? When's the last time you fired a gun? Never even touched one. I figured as much. We're going to need practice. There's a range near here. I've booked this time with an instructor. Do we even have guns? I took care of that before I came to meet you. Check that cabinet by the sink. Alan opened the cabinet and found a small case containing two Glock 19 pistols. He left them in the case. I've never even picked one up before. Well, you're going to need to get familiar with it. We might encounter trouble. At a national park? Not here, dummy, at the other end. You mean if the slaves cause trouble? Yeah, and for the act we're there to do. You think you can walk in and put a bullet in a baby? Look at the big picture, man. Keep focused. We could just go back early and take out its parents. They're innocent. We only do what's necessary to accomplish the mission. Don't think of the life we're taking, but of all the lives we're saving. We're erasing an evil, racist empire from history. How many people will live because of our actions? The world will be better off. Avi, Earl, and Clyde got up early the next morning, rested and sober, ate breakfast, and piled in Avi's pickup. They drove to Earl's house, where Earl ran in and came back out 10 minutes later with two small backpacks and a duffel bag. You get everything? Clyde asked. Got camo, these packs to hold the extra batteries and ammo, and these. He opened the case to show two Smith & Wesson semi-auto 9mm pistols. Nice, but you know I ain't much good with a pistol. You're probably as good as I am with one. Hoping we don't need 'em, but we gotta be prepared. Rather have a rifle or a 12 gauge. These will do if we need 'em. Need to keep everything portable. Yeah, reckon you're right. Still like a long gun better. James Bond seems to do okay with that little Walther. He's trained to shoot pistols. Plus, he ain't real. He never went against wussified city folk either. We'll be fine with these. You think that's what they are? I've been reading up on 'em here. Look. Went to Berkeley. Made $1 million before they graduated. Ain't ever done a day of hard work. Not the kind of dudes who know how to shoot. Why you think they want to kill him when he's a baby? Smart folks would take out their parents before he's born. But killing grown folks is harder. You know, Earl, Avi said, you don't want to underestimate your enemy. These people are highly motivated and very wealthy. They have the resources to be well equipped. It might not come down to who can shoot straighter. Like we ain't motivated? They're messing with the greatest country on this earth. They don't know who they're up against. I admire your commitment. I'm just telling you to be cautious. They might be a more formidable enemy than you think. We still don't know how they plan on carrying out their attack once they get there. You'll have to think on your feet. I guess you're right, Professor. Please just call me Avi. I'm retired. Well, Avi, you want a break from driving? You just let me know, okay? Thanks, I'll do that. Maybe around halfway. We can stop for lunch, and then you can take over. I've been thinking, Clyde said. Must be a new experience. Head hurt much? Earl replied. Hey, I can come up with something smart sometimes when I ain't been drinking. So what you been thinking about? If you were a city-fied wuss they couldn't shoot, but you wanted to kill a family in their house, you think you'd use a gun? Maybe not. What you thinking? Man, it's the 1700s. Didn't have smoke detectors back then. You light a house afire in the middle of the night. Sleeping folks won't know till it's too late. Smoke will get them. It's a plantation. There will be slaves. Yep. But if they light the place around 2 a.m., smoke gets anyone before they wake up to know house is burning. I've seen some of those old houses. Only got 2 doors, front and back. You light the house and watch the doors. Anyone try to come out, then you shoot. Hell, they probably come out unarmed, not expecting an attack. House on fire, you wake up and get the hell out. Dudes waiting outside the door could walk up 5 feet away and plug them. Even a billionaire wuss can't miss that close. That's what I'd do. That makes the most sense, actually, Avi said. Houses back then would be easy to catch on fire and anyone would sneak close enough to lob something through a window. The bedrooms were most likely upstairs. Any smoke gets up there pretty fast and overcomes them before they know what hit them. If they attack in the winter, there won't be any windows open. The house will fill with smoke pretty fast. You boys will have to be there before they get there, and you'll have to be alert to however they plan on doing it. Don't let them get close to the house. We get there early, Earl said. We could just raise hell and the slaves will wake up. That presents a highly unpredictable situation. If the Powers brothers get away in the chaos, they just jump back here and then go back, probably on a different date, and try again. They have to be captured or killed, or the family secreted away to a safe place. But they're not likely to believe you if you show up and try to get them out of there ahead of time. These guys are going to keep trying until they succeed, so they have to be stopped. But if we get the family somewhere else, they jump back to the present in search of historical records. There would probably be mention of where they went next. Then they just show up there a couple days later. Okay, so we have to get there before they do and dig in and wait. Hopefully we get a clean shot at them before they pull it off. That's pretty much the plan. If they make a move for the house and it looks like they're going to sneak in and kill them, then your job is easy. It will take them a second to get through the front door and you can engage them before they pick the lock. If they try to fire the house, you have to get them before they manage that. Or else you'll be trying to get the family out and fight them off at the same time. I wouldn't like those odds. Might not be that complicated, Clyde said. Whoa, 2 ideas in one day? I knew I smelt smoke. You and Avi talking all this complicated stuff. We know where they gotta jump from. They don't know us. So we're hanging out at the park and watching them sneaky like. One of us sitting pretending to read the paper, that cool spy stuff. Avi has that tablet that shows when they jump too. We see them jump, so we have the spot down. We get to the other end before they do, and we know where they're going to show up. Just be waiting behind them. Easy breezy. They never get close to the house. Well, bro, 2 good thoughts in one day. Blind squirrels and acorns. I think I'm going to grab some Z's before we stop for lunch. Then we can talk up a plan while I'm driving. 5 hours later, they walked out of Cracker Barrel, and Earl took the wheel and pulled back on the I-64. So, Avi, what's the plan? I thought you'd never ask. You guys can't wear that camo into the park, so you'll have to keep it in your backpack and change after you jump. We'll need to get you some loose-fitting jackets to hide the belts, and you'll have to dress like tourists. We can assume that they will be doing the same thing. Now, what kind of holsters do you have? We can't have those pistols showing up. You had a couple of those t-shirts with holsters built in. When did you get those? Clyde asked. A couple months ago when I got my concealed carry permit. Same time I bought those pistols. Why'd you buy 2 pistols anyway? I was going to give you one for your birthday, so happy birthday. My birthday ain't for another month. Yeah, well, seems this can't wait. I'll get you a card then. One of the real nice $5 ones from Walgreens. You're all hard, Earl. That's what your sister said. You ain't never dated my sister. Weren't from lack of trying. You asked my sister out? Well, yeah, kinda. When was that? About 5 years ago. She was seeing Mike 5 years ago. How do you think I found out about Mike? Why'd you go and ask her out? Why not? She's kinda hot. Guys, back to the topic, okay? Sure, Professor Avi. So, we don't know what day or even what time of day these guys are planning on jumping back. But we do know they have to be close to the target. I'm guessing they'll do it right from the park. They could jump just outside the park and hike in. Won't get caught with weapons that way, Earl said. Good point, Avi said. That works for us too then. We stay outside the park and go from there when the time comes. How are we going to know when to go? We don't know what day they're going to go, so we'll have to hang out at the park every day. Maybe one of you outside the park and one in so we spot them either way. I have this tablet ready so we'll get alerted whenever they activate the belts, and then you set yours for a couple hours earlier and go. You get there with a 2-hour head start. Gives you enough time to recon the area and hopefully be ready for them. You know, said Clyde, I'm looking at the park on the internet. Plenty of parking there. We have the gear hidden in the back, like in a toolbox or something. We go in the park and hang out. When they jump, we come back to the truck, get dressed, and go. What if someone sees us getting guns out of the back of the truck? Earl asked. When we get in town, we just go straight to the park after we drop our things in the hotel. We can drive in there and walk around. That should give us a good idea of security, Avi said. Well, Clyde, you know who's the brains of this operation, and it ain't you or me. I got a good idea after we check out the park, Clyde said. 3 ideas in one day. Take it easy on the brain cells, brother. Save some for later, okay? I love you too. Look here. There's a range in the town. Could break in those pistols. Lord knows I need to practice. That's the best idea you had all day. Well, I can be smart sometimes. Just not as smart as my sister. Yeah, smart ass, more like it. Why do you think she shot you down? She don't like all that cussing. I don't cuss much. You ever hear me say the F word? Nope. She don't like none of it, though. I can't even say hell around her. She thinks that's a cuss word. It's in the Bible. So is damn, but she don't like that one either. I heard Mike say hell once. He don't say it around her. They're getting a hitch next month. He knows who's boss. You know, maybe we shouldn't cuss so much. What do you think Jesus thinks about it? I don't reckon he likes it so much, but I figure it depends on how words is used. I mean, if the preacher says people who don't know the Lord are going to hell, is he cussing? But if I tell you to go to hell, ain't that different? You ain't never told me to go to hell. I thought about saying it a couple times. Don't the good book say thinking it's as good as saying it? So I best not even think about telling you to go to hell. I never thought about telling you that, even when you pissed me off. Hey, what we say about cussing? Is that a cuss? It's in the Bible. That's in the Bible? In the Old Testament. Can't remember what book. It's in 1 Kings and 1 Samuel. Several verses, said Avi. Hey, Prof, you know the Bible? Earl asked. I'm Jewish. I thought you were Polish. I'm a Polish Jew. There are a lot of Jews in Poland, not as many as there used to be, alas. but still plenty. We scattered all over when the Romans destroyed the temple. Is that when you moved to Poland? Clyde asked with a snicker. Well, aren't you the funny one? I'm not that old. Anyway, going to that range is an excellent idea, as long as you let me have a turn. They arrived at their hotel and dropped off their luggage before heading to Pope's Creek to tour Washington's birthplace. They pulled into the park, parked the pickup, and walked all over, not once being stopped by anyone, and not once being asked what was in the toolbox in the back of the pickup. There were plenty of security personnel around, enough that if someone tried to start any trouble, it would not be a wise idea. After stopping at the hotel for their pistols, they arrived at On the Mark shooting range and went in. It was not a very busy day and they had several ranges to choose from. They got their targets and their ear protection and began to blaze away, while Avi sat back and observed. Earl wasn't a bad shot with a pistol, but Clyde was clearly rusty. After a few targets each, Clyde was showing marked improvement and Earl was doing quite well. Tight groups on each target. He looked farther down and there were two men working with an instructor, and from the look of them they were beginners and not very accurate. To their credit, they were paying close attention to the instructor and doing everything he said. Something looked familiar about these two. Avi continued to look that way, and finally full recognition hit him. He was looking at the Powers brothers, firing what looked like Glock 19s and occasionally hitting the target. Eventually the instructor left, and Richard began packing the pistols away. They must have already been there for a while and were leaving. He reached into his pocket and withdrew a small device resembling a Bluetooth earpiece and put it on his ear. It was in fact a Bell & Howell personal sound amplifier. His wife had bought it for him right before she died, and he had never used it. It came in handy now since it allowed him to eavesdrop from far enough away that it wasn't overly obvious what he was doing. Most likely they hadn't seen him, so focused they were on their targets. Well, that was certainly educational. I always thought using one of these would be easier, Richard said. Yeah, it was harder than it looks, but I can see why people enjoy it. Very stress relieving. Don't let the senator hear you say that. Which one? The woman from California. The one who called the NRA a terrorist group? Aren't they? Yeah, maybe. But if she saw us, she'd have a conniption. After all the cash we gave her? Possibly. She's one of the dangerous ones, a true believer. It will just be our little secret. Still, this is kind of fun. It can be when you hit the target. By the way, have you spoken with our client? I spoke with him briefly this morning. Mr. Fox will be delighted to meet with us at 11 tomorrow morning at his office. I'm glad to hear that. I assume you conveyed my thanks to Mr. Fox and told him I would be most glad to make his acquaintance. I certainly did. He said he very much looks forward to meeting you as well. Well, I hope you enjoyed Chapter 5. If so, please like and subscribe. Stay tuned for more chapters from this book and my others. For more information about my other work, check out the links in the description below. Take care, and I'll see you on the next one.